Welcome to Skin Deep here on Sirius XM Radio Channel 141 HUR Voices. I'm your host, Sharrarne Morton. And as always, I am happy to be here and have you listening, of course. My guests today are super special to me because they are my sorority sisters and they are leaders in the community who have dedicated themselves to the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated motto of service to all mankind. I'll be talking to Ms. Cheryl Owens, who is serving her second term as president of the Iota Gamma Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and she also serves as president of Iota Gamma Omega's philanthropic arm called Ivy Community Charities of Prince George's County, Maryland. She's also a Golden Life member of AKA with over 52 years of amazing community and organizational service. I'll also be speaking with Ms. Cheryl Garnette, who is the executive director of the Ivy Community Charities, also known as ICC-PGC of Prince George's County. The Ivy Community Charities provides tutoring, mentoring, and leadership development for kids from elementary school through high school, as well as training for parents, scholarships for high school seniors, and activities for the elderly. They do a lot, folks. Through Cheryl Garnette's efforts, Ivy Community Charities earned the Maryland Nonprofits Standards for Excellence accreditation in 2022. These ladies are phenomenal, and I can't wait for you to hear about all that they do to serve thousands of people in our community. You have to stay tuned because, as I always say, we're going to be doing more than just scratching the surface. Here on Skin Deep, we're talking about service to all mankind, and I'm here for it, and I hope you are too. We'll be right back with information you just can't afford to miss here on Skin Deep. Welcome back to Skin Deep here on Sirius XM Radio, HUR Voices. Before the break, I was telling you about my phenomenal sorority sisters, Miss Cheryl Owens, the president of the Iota Gamma Omega chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, and also she's the president of the Ivy's Community Charities of Prince George's County. Also have on the show Miss Cheryl Garnette, the executive director of Iota Gamma Omega's Ivy Community Charities. Welcome to Sirius XM Radio, Channel 141, HUR Voices. I'm so glad to have you, Cheryl and Cheryl.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you for the invitation.
So thank you so much for being here with me. Please tell the listeners a little bit about the history of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. I mean, we know we're the first sorority, first Black sorority in the world, and we've been around for 115 years, but a lot of people might not know all the great things that Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated does. So tell us a little bit about it, about the sorority, tell my listeners, and also how long have you been in the sorority?
Okay, great. Thank you for having us. So in addition to being the first sorority for African-American college-educated women on January 15th, 1908. On January 29th, 1913, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority was also the first fraternity or Black sorority to be incorporated in Washington, D.C. to maintain the perpetuity of the organization, which we're very proud of.
Yes, that's wonderful. And what did you want to add to that, Cheryl?
Well, I only wanted to add, because Cheryl did a magnificent job in sharing that history, our illustrious history, that I will be celebrating my 50th anniversary next year. I am in my 49th year this year, and I'm so excited, kind of dual excitement, because I will also be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the chapter that I chartered on the campus of the University of Maryland College Park. So the chartering was also in 1974, and I was initiated there in 1974. So I will be celebrating both the 50th anniversary of the chapter and my 50th anniversary as a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Okay, I need to give you all a round of applause. That is wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just amazing women. I wanted to ask you, President Cheryl, you know, you're the president of the first and one of the largest chapters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority in Prince George's County, Maryland, the Iota Gamma Omega chapter, of which I am a member. Tell me a little bit about the chapter and, you know, how far along it has come.
Well, we are very, very excited that I'm a native Washingtonian, and so I initially was active in Psi Omega chapter in Washington, D.C. But when I moved to Prince George's County, I got active. Cheryl actually was the president of the chapter at the time when I joined Iota Gamma Omega, and Iota Gamma Omega has this rich history as well. Iota Gamma Omega was the first Black fraternal organization, fraternity or sorority, to actually be chartered in Prince George's County on November 14th, 1970, with 24 members. And we are so proud that of those 24 members, we still have 5 very active members of that initial charter member group. Irma Barron, Annette Stone Blake, Hazel Carter, Joyce Clark Edwards, and Beatrice Davis. And they come to the chapter meeting just about every month. So we are very excited that they started the chapter back in 1970, but they continue to be active members of the chapter. We like to say that from a small acorn, a large oak was created. So from those 24 charter members, we're now over 700 members, and we are still, at this point, I think, still the largest chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated in Prince George's County.
Yes, yes. And
The region.
Cheryl.
And the region.
Yes, we are a huge chapter. Cheryl, how have you seen the Ivy community charities grow and develop through the years? And you've played a very major role in making that happen.
One of the most exciting experiences I've had is serving as the executive director of the Ivy Community Charities of Prince George's County, which we affectionately refer to as Charities or ICC. The organization was established in 1986. So now we're into our 37th year. We're really excited about that. And we have grown in many of the ways that Cheryl just described, from a tiny acorn to a magnificent oak over the past several years. I've been serving as executive director since 2008, and I have seen us grow not only in our membership, but also in our value with regard to our balance sheet and financially. When I started as executive director, we were at about a $200,000 assets, $200,000 in assets, including mostly, of course, cash and the work that we did with our programs and services. And now we have grown such that our balance sheet shows us with a value of $2.4 million.
Wow.
Because we've been able to purchase property where we can house our programs and services. That was one of the things that I wanted to really do as president. We knew that our property, so to speak, was all over the District of Columbia, Virginia, Maryland. We wanted to bring it all into one location. And so as a result, one of the things that I really was working towards was for us to develop our own building, to acquire our own building. And we were able to do that very successfully in 2012. And it has grown. We were excited last year to celebrate 10 years.
Yes.
The Youth and Family Center. It is a community center that is really, we think, making a tremendous impact in Prince George's County. So come a long ways, grow with Iota Gamma Omega. We could not have been the organization that we now are, noted and known across Prince George's County and probably in the DMV as well, because of our connection, our partnership with Iota Gamma Omega. And of course, that's how we started. We were founded by the members of Iota Gamma Omega chapter.
And let me just add to that if I can.
Well, we have to go to commercial break, but before we do that, I'd like you to tell our listeners how they can reach out to you or where they can go online to see all the great things that you do. And then when we come back from breaks, President Cheryl Owens, we can then talk about whatever it is that you wanted to add. I hope that's okay.
That's fine. You can reach us for Iota Gamma Omega at igoaka.org on the web. And Cheryl, you want to give the
Yeah, absolutely. Ivy Community Charities, you can reach us at iccpgc.org. And of course, you can find us on Facebook and Twitter at ICCPGC.
Okay, that sounds good. Folks, we have to take a break, but we'll be right back after these messages here on Skin Deep on Sirius XM Radio, channel 141. Welcome back to Skin Deep here on Sirius XM Radio, channel 141, HUR Voices. We're here with the leadership of the Iota Gamma Omega chapter of the oldest Black sorority in the world, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, my sorority as well. Thank you again for joining me, President Cheryl Owens, and Ivy Community Charities Executive Director Cheryl Garnette. Before we went to break, President Cheryl, you wanted to say what? You wanted to add something to what Cheryl Garnette was saying.
Sure. I was just going to give a little more history about ICC and the fact that Irma Barron, who was one of our charter members of Iota Gamma Omega, was then the president of the we call IGO chapter. And we were getting a lot of, since we were chartered, we were getting a lot of generous donations from the public. And it was her idea that we should figure out a way to allow those generous donations to be recognized with a charitable tax donation designation. And so she worked hard in training the members of the chapter, as well as helping to prepare all the paperwork that was necessary to actually charter Ivy Community Charities as a nonprofit in Prince George's County. And that was the first step and one of our reasons for giving back to the community, to recognize the generous donations that were given to us and to allow people. We're now a 501c3 organization that allows those donations to be charitable donations and tax deductible for our donors.
That's wonderful.
And if I can add something else to that, yeah. We're going to get through it all.
Yeah.
But also Irma had been inspired because she had attended a business roundtable that was held by then international president Phoebe Bryant. And we had actually, the sorority had already established its nonprofit arm, the Educational Advancement Foundation. And so both with building businesses and the notion of how we can better give back to the community, that was another part of the origination of the Ivy Community Charities, which originally actually was the Alpha Kappa Alpha Community Charities of Prince George's County. And then we changed the name to the Ivy Community Charities of Prince George's County.
Okay. All right. That's some rich history there. I'm so glad I have you all on this show to explain to my listeners how wonderful all of the great work that Iota Gamma Omega and Ivy Community Charities has been doing for a number of years. Speaking of which, how does the chapter know, not just the chapter, but how does Iota Gamma Omega and Ivy Community Charities know what programs and services to provide to the community? I mean, there's so many services that are needed out here. How do you, pinpoint what's needed the most?
Well, there are a number of ways. Every 4 years or so, there's a change in leadership of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. And each new international president introduces her own platform of ideas or programs that she would like all the chapters, the 1,061 chapters, to support and implement. And so we follow those international program guidelines, as well as develop our own local programming to support the needs, specifically of the needs of the residents of Prince George's County. Mm-hmm. So this year, under the new international president, Garnette Anthony Reed, our theme is Soaring to Greater Heights of Service and Sisterhood. And there are several tenets under her initiative that we focus on, which is strengthening our sisterhood, empowering our families, building our economic wealth, enhancing our environment, advocating for social justice, and uplifting our communities. And so there are a number of activities that are expected of us internationally to to implement. But we also have local programs, and we call those the Ivy League programs. And because of the very unique and cooperative relationship, collaborative relationship IGO has with ICC, me being the president of both the chapter and the nonprofit, we work very well together to implement those programs collectively. And so a lot of the local programming comes under the auspices of what we call the Ivy League programs, where we have programs that deal with educational and mentoring support and scholarships for middle school girls, high school boys and girls, elementary kids in our popcorn reading club, parents on track to teach parents how to be better parents.
Yeah.
And we also give out scholarships. We've given over $600,000 in scholarships since we've been in Prince George's County. So we do a number of things, both internationally to support the international programs, as well as the our local programming. From an international perspective, we are also very, very proud under this new administration, under our International President Garnette Anthony Reed, for the establishment of the first Black-owned, women-led, sorority-based and 100% digital credit union for our members only. So we are so excited about that. We can't wait. It's going to be, I think, kicking off next month. And we just can't wait for that. We're another first Black sorority, first incorporated fraternal organization, and now the first credit union as well. So yay, Alpha Kappa Alpha, Sorority Incorporated.
Yeah, I just want to make certain that people understand all that you do and what goes into what you do and the work that was started by Irma Barron and so many other wonderful Sisters of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Where do you see the Ivy community charities in 5 years, Cheryl Petty Garnette? I have to distinguish the two of you, Cheryl.
That's fine. We have, as I've already indicated, we have certainly grown. A few years ago, I would say in 2014, we determined our mission to be to empower youth and to strengthen families. And our focus was really on strengthening those families. We have since, in our newest strategic plan, which will take us for the next 4 years, starting 2023 through 2027, our emphasis is empowering youth, strengthening families, and building generational wealth. So we want to broaden the perspective that we have and the service area that we can offer to the community. We've been so blessed. We have our Ivy Youth and Family Center where we conduct our programs and hold our service activities. We wanted to do a little bit more. And we recognize that there are 4,000 nonprofits actually in Prince George's County. However, most of them are smaller nonprofits. They're mom and pop. They're the kinds of organizations that were started because people had this great passion that they wanted to be able to give back as well, but they're very small. Yeah. And what we wanted to do, as you indicated, we were able to earn the Maryland Nonprofit Standards for Excellence accreditation, which is the highest level, and only 17 nonprofits in Prince George's County have been able to earn that classification. In fact, not just accreditation, but recognition, but the highest levels of accreditation, and fewer than 10 have achieved that. We want to be able to help others to achieve those, at least the basics level. There are 3 levels. We want to be able to help them achieve at least the basics level. So we established the Ivy Village Incubator for Nonprofit Excellence that we call the Ivy Vine. And that is our way of giving back by working with other nonprofits, providing them with the training that they need through workshops, monthly workshops they're required to participate in. They receive coaching from experts in the field in nonprofit management. They also will be able to receive access to our property, to other businesses, networking opportunities, and they will receive a grant at the end that they can use to support their general operating. In addition, finally, the main point is we're going to help them to achieve that Standards for Excellence, at least basics level. It's a 2-year program. We're really excited about that. So where do we see ourselves going? Growing more of the community, serving more of the community, enhancing and enlarging the number of young people that we can serve. We're thousands of young people in Prince George's County, and we want to be able to touch at least a quarter of them. That is also our goal.
It sounds like you're going to reach almost all of them with all of these fantastic programs that that you've started, and you'll probably grow even more programs and have even more programs in the future. And so that's exactly what we need. And for you to reach out and help other organizations, nonprofit organizations, so that they can acquire the kind of excellence that Ivy Community Charities has acquired, those standards of excellence. That is a wonderful thing. It's almost like you're the umbrella, and all of these other nonprofits are coming behind you to do good work and to continue your legacy, the Ivy Community's legacy. So I'm just happy to be a part of the sorority. I'm happy to be a part of Iota Gamma Omega, and I'm so happy that you have led our chapter to such great heights. I'm just so thankful to you for all that you both have done. We are about to run out of time, but I would love for you to, one more time, let our listeners know where they can find you on social media or your website, so that they can see all of the dynamic work that you've done.
Well, you can find Iota Gamma Omega at igoaka.org. And
you can find Ivy Community Charities of Prince George's County at iccpgc.org and ICCPGC on Facebook and Twitter.
And also, IGO AKAs
Yes.
also on Instagram.
Yes, I was going to say IGO AKAs on Instagram.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I can't thank you enough for being on this show, ladies. That's it for now, everybody. I'm your host, Sharrarne Morton, and I hope that you take the information we provided today and use it to grow your service to your community. Thank you again to President Cheryl Owens and Executive Director Cheryl Garnette of Iota Gamma Omega of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated for being on the show. And I want you to know that you can hear this show on Sirius XM Radio, channel 141 HUR Voices on Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, as well as on iTunes, Spotify, and all streaming platforms. And hit me up on skindeepradioshow@gmail.com, or check me out at Sharrarne_Morton on IG and Facebook. Thanks again for tuning in on all things that are skin deep.